Hey everybody,
Hey, friends.
how's it
Hmm.
going? We have to stop meeting like this on the internet. We will give it probably till 5 after the hour. It's still a little early in Sydney. It's 8:02. Give them a couple minutes to get their tea or coffee. It's going to be chilly for us the next day or so, Madison.
Yeah, just so unfortunate. The weather was so nice this last week. I was looking forward to a warm Memorial Day.
I think Memorial Day itself, at least here in Columbus, is going to be a little warmer, but I think Saturday and Sunday is going to be cold.
Yeah, it was like a nice 55 today.
Yeah, it's it's up in the 60s right here now. It was cold. I was
Pretty
chilly.
good.
Oh man, double Scovetta?
I did this. I successfully did the switch.
I did that once with Teams, and that seemed to work. I've never tried it with Zoom.
It's surprisingly, yeah. It I think it's either mobile to desktop or desktop to mobile. One of those works like wonderfully, and the other one you clone yourself, which is good. Um,
All right, well, we will get rolling. I guess not everyone's as excited to be here as the three of us are. What would we like to talk about today?
I would love to talk about disclosure check, mostly because I'd really like someone else to work on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how successful I'll be, but I will give it a shot. Madison,
And I think
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I you had demoed it to us like a month ago. And I liked the tool. I was impressed by it. It would have saved me a lot of time in my past life. So I would be all for having the group motion to adopt it. I don't know that I would get you a software maintainer, but I think you have a friendly home. But that's the hard part is finding a developer to assist.
Yeah, so we could have Jonathan continue, or Jonathan pick it up just as part of his role in AO. I would love to have like what I'm concerned about now is like it's like bus factor of one. Moving
Right.
to Jonathan makes it like basically still one and a half. Uh, if someone else from this working group could like partner or even secondary it or just be a active contributor,
Yeah.
I think that would solve it would get us a higher scorecard scored and everything. So
No, again, the tool is great, and if the cert sig ever gets funded, I think that would be a tool that PCERT potentially would adopt as part of their tool set. And then I think we definitely would have some developers because we actually had we had asked for some development assistance, so we would be able to, whether it's a contractor or trying to get a volunteer. So I think there's definitely lots of opportunity, and it fits right into the working group's mission.
Yep.
But
Cool.
I used to do some shell scripts, and I once programmed an IRC bot, and
Nice.
that's my the grand
You
total.
were
of
showing
my
your
knowledge.
street cred.
Right. Well, all the bot did was every time someone plus me, it replied, "Yay!" Because I got tired of typing "yay" all the time.
You have a funny definition of vacation, Robe.
I'm back today, and then tomorrow is a rest day for my part of the org, so I get tomorrow off. But I
Oh,
got
that's
roped
nice.
into some Atlantic Council nonsense.
Well, welcome back then.
Thanks.
So for disclosure check, I do have a kind of a tactical ask, and I'm not
Yep.
even, I don't know, like, I think I'm just gonna beg forgiveness, but right now it's in my personal GitHub account. That's terrible. I created a private repo in OSSF. The code's now there. We don't have like advanced security and stuff like that turned on, so like everything is breaking. I want to flip the bit to public. I'll include in the README that this is preview. It's already called a proof of concept and stuff like that. So I'll just make it clear that like this isn't like a top tier,
Yeah,
whatever, and then we can.
and then in parallel, if you want to send an email to the Vuln mailing list, saying, "Hey, we would like this group, if you adopt us, and hey, if you had anyone that was interested, patches are welcome. We'd like some development assistance." That way, it's queued up for the next call, and I can say, "Let's decide if we want this." Oh man, speaking of developers, I do know one developer.
Huzzah.
This audio isn't working. But no, again, the disclosure check tool I liked. I thought there's value in it.
Perfect. Cool. So I'm going to flip the bit on it right now as we're talking. So, because otherwise I'll forget and we'll never actually do it. Wait, change repository visibility. Organization members can't change repo visibility.
GitHub security.
I'm locked out of my own repo.
Hold on.
If only we had someone from GitHub here that could help.
Well, once you get that figured out and send the email, I'll amplify it, and then we'll make it an actual discussion topic and see if we can get that sussed out and maybe get you some friends to help develop.
That would be amazing.
Help maintain it.
Yeah, that's really weird. So I'm just curious because I didn't think it would work this way. I'm an admin of a repo that is private. And I can't, in the danger zone, change repository visibility because it says organization members can't change repo visibility. I would have thought if I'm an admin of the repo, I could change visibility.
We're Jordan, Mrs. Jordan.
Okay.
There's a bunch of changes that were made to permissions on the repository recently, including now members cannot create new repositories under the OpenSSF.
Well, I'm glad I got it in before.
Yes.
Before
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Okay.
So we were talking about disclosure check. Does anyone have any feedback or questions or comments about it?
Yeah, just positive feedback. I think it looks great.
Awesome.
I love the idea. Others within GitHub that have taken a look at it have like also given thumbs up. So just lots of positive feedback.
Love it. Thank you.
Yay.
Well, and potentially, if we can get those additional contributors, maybe it's something we even potentially modify, like one of our CVD guides for to kind of highlight, here, here's a way. If you don't know how to contact somebody, here's a great tool to go in and check.
Yep.
So that's, again, potentially to help
Yeah.
increase usage.
It would be interesting. I don't want to do it now, but like to just have a website set up so you actually just put the Perl on the website and it does all the stuff. But
I also used to edit
Perfect.
HTML1.
that's where, that was before the blocks got like with the point. They were just like
Escape Navigator, baby. All right. Do you wish to discuss the Great Repository audit, Jonathan? I'm assuming that was you putting that in there.
Yes. Can you go to another topic and come back to me?
Okay. Is anyone aware of what Ollie was talking about when he typed in NVD worries?
No, but I do have another request. If you could add a chirping crickets to your sound bar, that will also come in handy, I'm sure.
Hold on.
or a slow clap.
Let's see. I have claps.
No, it's got to be the awkward like one guy in the crowd. Just clap.
Yeah, slowly.
Yeah.
I can add that. I have that. Yeah, so I have some buttons over here on
Yeah,
my.
you need that button so the next time you ask for volunteers for a project, rather than just listening to the silence, you can hit the cricket button.
All right, so I guess we'll have to wait for the full meeting to understand what Ollie was looking at. I know that he is very involved in matters within the EU, and I don't know if this is related to NISA had suggested they might like to make their own NVD. I know that some of the NVD folks had expressed interest in engaging community and private industry to assist with improving NVD. So I'm not certain specifically what Ollie was looking for. But maybe he'll watch this video and we can talk about it at the next call. Do we have any additional topics we would like to discuss? I will say with Adolfo here, our next OpenVex call, which will be on it will not be on Monday. I guess if you wanted to meet Monday, you can meet, but I'll be on holiday enjoying some delightful barbecue.
I'm actually right now on holiday with my family in Disneyland, but I just wanted to drop in to see if there was any OpenVex discussion.
Well, I was going to mention to the group, we're going to be alternating OpenVex calls where we will have one call be focused on development and actually maintaining the spec and the software. So a technical call. And then the alternate calls will be focused on evangelism, engaging how we can engage with larger industry groups, how we can work with tools like SPDX or Cyclone DX to help further Vex in general, and then to try to evangelize using the awesome little tool that the team put together. Are you ready now, Jonathan?
I can be.
Well, you are the last topic we have for today.
All right. Hey, Michael.
Hi.
Have you heard about the Great Repository audit?
Something about that.
Okay. So, Michael was up at 6 a.m. this morning, his time, to join for a conversation about the Great Repository audits. The Great Repository audit at a high level is a proposal for funding and effort and energy. Step back. Okay. I presume that, or I posit that a majority of the major artifact servers, Maven Central, Gradle, Plug and Port, NPM, those sorts of artifact servers, have never had a pen test performed against them for determining, have they been, what is their security? And so I'm proposing with the great artifact repository audit that we, as the OpenSSF, actually engage and try to perform these audits, or ask the organizations to do it themselves and then publish their results. The scope of it includes a pen test of the firm, and then a red team engagement against the organization, where we, hire a firm to do a live attacker sort of simulation. The proposition is that the vulnerabilities just found in the technical part, the pen test, would be publicly disclosed. The part in the red team engagement would not be publicly disclosed. The result, like we were able to achieve this and like that it happened, would be public, but not the methodology under which that was able to be achieved, because that's a lot more sensitive as a methodology, and we don't want to, that's not, I don't think is useful. So at a high level, if you're a non-for-profit, you would have your audit paid for, and also we would hire a contractor for you or allocate money to you to actually help fix those vulnerabilities. Non-for-profits are only non-for-profits if their repository artifact server is open source. If it's not open source, then it's corporate, just because it's harder to hire a contractor to fix something that's not open source. And then for the pen test, we offer corporations, which are, either the option of we can fund the pen test, but the disclosures will come with a 90-day deadline, or they fund the pen test and the disclosures will come with we want to see their reports after 180 days with a retest report. So that's the idea in a nutshell. And then also something that I haven't written into the policy, but something that I want to toss in there is that it will also include in scope, theoretically, the idea is after the first wave of all the audits, we would stand up a bug bounty program for enabling, paying researchers to look at this infrastructure in writ large and reporting things. Yeah, I think that's the nutshell. Any questions, concerns?
I think it's a good idea. I am concerned with the current financial climate and the track record the foundation has reviewing funding requests, how this would go about being funded.
Alpha Omega.
So
that's the idea primarily, and then OSTIF, and then maybe OpenSSF.
Yeah.
And then also I would want there to be one staff member. So one of the things listed in there is to run this, there would be one staff that's not full-time dedicated, but part-time dedicated to running this whole thing from somewhere.
Like a program manager kind of thing?
Program manager to run this thing. Yeah.
I would really like OpenSSF to chip in something on this.
Yeah.
So I because this is being recorded, I'm going to preface this with, this is just spitballing ideas. There's no promises in any of this. But if OpenSSF were to, let's say, go halfies in with AO, I think that would make it easier for us to allocate, because this is a significant, this is,
it's $150,000 per artifact repository. It's a lot of money. Yeah.
No, it's not insignificant. But
Yeah.
And what I'm afraid of is we are nearing the second quarter, and so this is an unfunded request currently for the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's coming in late. Yeah. No,
but so depending on like when you wanted to start, it might be feasible to put this together and say we would like this to be put into the 2024 budget, that I think would be most palatable for the kind of cost sharing. We could, I'll work with you to put together a funding request to go before that, but having done 3 of them and having 0 responses in 6 months, I will state I wouldn't have a high
So
degree of
I-
faith
so
that it will happen this year.
I'm curious, is there a higher likelihood of this getting funded directly from organizations wanting to support this project, or getting funded through, like, I don't know, what's the second tier of AO funders, like a $300,000 level?
we haven't had any, at least none have come to me yet that have
Right.
gone through that process. For,
Right. But if we
Okay.
said, like, hey, if you as a firm want to support this initiative, like, join
Oh,
join AO, and that money will go towards this initiative.
we have to be a little slightly careful about that, but conceptually, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we could state this as one of our program goals for the second half of the calendar year. I mean, if it would help, I would be very happy to like push strongly for, I don't know, like, I don't know enough to know how to get it done, but if my voice would help unlock funds, I think that would be awesome, and that feels like a superpower, but I'd be happy to do so.
And I think directionally, this fits within the mission and goals of the foundation. It's just they did their budget in November.
Yeah.
It was like approved in December, and now we're coming up on June. So
I
we're
mean, my
becoming
presumption
late.
when I wrote this whole thing was that it was mostly going to get funded by AO, and then maybe
Yeah.
something from OSTIF, right? Like that was the thought that I went into this with. But I don't money.
No,
it just needs money, right? And
Oh,
then somebody to run it.
It's a mid-year unfunded request
Yeah.
for anyone. And again, I'll be glad to work with you. There is a template that's used, and I think, again, mission wise, it feels nice. It feels good that this is the type of thing the foundation wants to see happen.
It's
just,
action. It's
I
actually
can't-
something that's like turning money into security. I mean, a lot of these things are trying to turn money into security, but like,
Hey man, it's above my pay grade to write a check.
I know, right?
I'm glad to help facilitate and help you plead your case to the people that have the checkbook.
Yep. Hey, one of them's my boss. So actually, most of them are my boss, but one of them's in the call.
But no, I'll shoot you over a copy of the template that we've used for the couple funding requests. I would give the chair of the TAC GD governance committee a heads up that something will be coming their way to review.
Have you read the document out of curiosity, or is it been brain dump?
I just got back from the beach, man.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The documents. I had a spurt of like inspiration. I don't have these normally, but I actually sat down and wrote a 6-page document. My ADHD doesn't let me do that very often. So this is a novel and unique moment of writing from Jonathan.
But again, we may be more successful if we're willing to delay until 2024 and get it part of OMCAR's budget ask. And again, we have a brand new managing director. He's still trying to figure stuff out.
I tell you what, if also all the caveats, AO could fund the first 6 months. If we at least have a good faith that something like that. Because we're not going to be able to get it all done in 6 months anyway. So
no.
Let's just start where we can start.
Yeah. Does everybody like the name? The Great Artifact Repository Audit. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
At least it's got the it's got the flashy name aspect to it. So that's the important bit of every great funding request is you got to have a flashy name that people will remember it by.
And then the acronym's GAR.
Oh no! What have I done?
And then like Amanda can help us once I share the template with you. She can help us get it staged. But just have measured expectations that we're coming in the middle. The economy sucks.
Yep.
Half of high tech got laid off. People aren't
Yep.
really interested in throwing giant bags of money at problems right now.
Yep. And we need another dependency confusion just to like really put the fire under people.
Do not, no, the summer is going to be so quiet. Please do not jinx it.
You hired me. You
No,
think
no, no.
quiet?
You're supposed to solve our problems.
You know, did you read my resume before
Yeah.
I joined?
I was young and foolish.
I have given Brian Fox, he runs air cover for me on a regular basis. I'm the guy that found the Zoom vulnerability who is currently being subpoenaed in a federal class action lawsuit. Like, what I mean, I don't know how I end up with this shit happening to me, but like you've hired the least quiet man in this industry. I walk around with a rubber duck on my head when I go to conferences. Like, what did you do? What did you think you were getting into?
I stand by the decision.
And just give me technically I'm not working tomorrow, but I've got that Atlantic Council thing, but I will track down the template and scrub it and send it over to you guys so we can get that started. But once you have your idea kind of coalesced on paper, then we would want to
I wrote it. Oh, you mean money wise?
Like the business request, the business.
Yeah. So the problem with that is that Amir has a better view into that than I do from Ostiv, because he's done a lot more of these things, and I don't know what it's going to cost. I would probably want to go get quotes from companies first.
Yeah. But again, once you have all the legwork done, then let's share it with the whole working group and make sure that they think it's also good. Then we would go to the TAC, and if the TAC agrees, we'd go to the governance subcommittee.
Do you think that there are any organizations out there that would want to do this sort of research or work at a discount because of its public good, and given that this infrastructure is somewhat given away for free and it's like driving all of open source?
You might be able to get it at cost.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They're not going to go below cost. But.
I don't know. That's fine. You know, that's still better than. You know, just play the like. You know, this is for the good of the.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, work is work. Like, firms should get paid.
No. But then they're also like, yeah, but if we do this, we're reducing, because we also have incident responders over there, and they're not going to get paid for the next incident if we find the vulnerability first.
Well, also think about your Alpha Omega intern program.
Yeah.
Maybe this is something that if you get a repeatable process together, maybe that's something that can be the project for the interns for next year.
So one alternative here is most of our organizations have internal red teams and pen testers and folks that do this regularly.
There's an optics thing on that might be a problem, but I hear what you're saying. And
I think if we could solve that, I agree, but that might be an alternative where it's like, okay, we could ask for, X dollars from, ultimately from members,
or volunteers. No, you're right, Michael. That's another thing that potentially a member could pony up. Here, I've got 2 red teamers, and I'll give them to you for 2 months.
Right.
Whatever the engagement would be.
Yeah.
So that's also something. And again, if that's what you want, let's put that in your business case, your request, saying that money's great, but people are better potentially.
Right. Yeah.
We had talked about having volunteers for the open source cert before I stopped going to those conversations. So where did that conversation end up with them? Since I imagine that, there was hopefully some research or thought put into what is the likelihood that we would actually get volunteers from these organizations, since that's a similar effort. Do we think that's actually realistic?
No.
That's my thought too.
And that's actually the funny thing was like what most of the maintainers said they wanted volunteers to be running whatever that cert was. Right, because they were like, we would have better reaction. And also they were like, actually, instead of a cert, can you do trainings? And I'm like, they've never been in an incident before, have they? Like they you don't need trainings in an incident. You need an incident responder. Like you have fire departments that also do trainings, but they are there to be the fire department.
We
I have more
absolutely,
thoughts to share if you turn off the recording.
What? Oh, you have stories to tell if you turn off the recording? Yeah.
I don't think any of us can.
No.
I cannot. Unfortunately, I didn't log
Yeah, we
in.
can
with-
spin out another
I don't have
call,
to
though.
share my stories. And
Yeah, I know.
they're not made up stories. They're true detective stories
Yeah.
that underscore the effectiveness of volunteer firefighters
Oh no.
either working outside or even internal to large organizations.
They don't show up, right?
They have the best of intentions.
Ah.
There was a particularly interesting presentation at the Open Source Summit a couple of weeks ago from the folks from the Node.js community,
Yes.
where they discussed some of the difficulties they have had in having volunteers be responders. And so that is a volunteers are great, but that is a very difficult thing to come by in open source, and also a more difficult thing to keep and retain. So for a service like this, I think longevity is also pretty important.
I burn out is what they said. They said they had a lot of people burn out. They had a lot of people that felt like if they signed up to do it, they owned it all the way through and didn't have a way to opt out, or hand it off to someone else when they got burnt out.
The other thing I was going to add to that, and I wasn't able to attend that session, but I could almost guarantee that there's an element of when you need those volunteers the most, they're going to be fighting the same fire inside their own organization as opposed to showing up for you.
Ooh, that's a really good point. Log4j took everybody. Yup. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was gonna say, when things become urgent, the first thing that is dropped is volunteer opportunities. So these
So-
would be hard to prioritize.
Currently, the CERT is under review by the governing board / governance subcommittee, and OMCAR is deciding how and if things are going, new budget asks are going to get funded, and how to put these types of proposals in front of people that might still have funding and interest. So the CERT is currently on hold. No further news. We'll probably, I would say, probably will not get an answer until we get a chance to finalize, to refresh the mobilization plan. There's some people looking at that, kind of reviewing where we are, what we did, what we didn't do. So I think once that's done, it would be the next step of how they want to proceed with funding or what gets moved forward. All right. Anything else we wanted to talk about today?
I had
Yes.
one more question about, while we're still talking about the Great Repository Audit.
Mm.
So there are, how much have we already engaged package managers or package registry maintainers in this? Because I know there are some that have lists, right, of here's how you could actually fund us in a way that will help us.
Yes, no, that did come up. Yes. That so in the SIG call this morning, which was the first SIG call for this topic, which is now happening every Thursday at 9 a.m. when the regular working group meeting isn't happening. We had Brian Fox from Sonotype. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, from JFrog. And then God, what's his name? He's just laid off from Shopify.
Jacques
there,
Chester.
and Michael Scovetta. So we have some people there. I have also spoken to the head of security at Gradle, and he's like, I like this idea. He seems reasonable. So 3 so far that are like, yeah, okay, either showing up to meetings or seems like a good idea. So yeah. Yeah. Also, I should probably send this to, yeah. So I don't have the contacts with the artifact server in, artifact servers as much as somebody else does. So if anybody else has contacts with, I mean, I can always just do security but like, if I'd rather go to like a real person, because like it's more respectful than going in through the security channel. So if anybody has a real person connection to the people in charge of these artifact servers or the security of those artifact servers, I'd love to chat with them.
Are they, I have not also attended for months, but at one point I know many of those folks were in the securing software repositories working group.
Yeah, that
Right.
I will be completely honest, that working group has seen better days. It is
Lost its momentum, which is unfortunate because it had really good early interest in attendance.
yes, it
And-
definitely lost its momentum. Part of the goal of this initiative is to rekindle that momentum behind the working group. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, Dustin is the lead of that working group, and he is also on the TAC. So I
Yes.
would get his emphatic support.
Yeah, he didn't show up to the meeting this morning.
Aw.
Which is available generally. Also, I haven't seen him in those meetings very recently either. So, but yes, no, I agree. I can talk to them and see what. Yeah, so the meeting currently has mostly been Brian Fox, kind of somewhat, and then also the people from Chain Guard and Jacques. Like it's been it's like definitely shrunk in size, and so I'm hoping that this will rekindle it, and hopefully we can get some more of the people involved. I know that Sterling has started showing up from Gradle, has started showing up at the APAC call, just because it's end of the day instead of the beginning of the day when people are working. Yeah,
I would personally reach out to Dustin to see if we can get him his support.
all right. I think he did respond. I don't know if you, let me see how you responded to the proposal. If you're looking for the proposal, by the way, if you haven't seen it, it's in it might be in the chat, but it's also in the securing software repositories working group.
It's also in this meeting's notes.
Oh, perfect. Did Dustin respond? Nope, he did not.
I'm
All
the
right.
boss of no one.
All right.
I can't tell anyone to do anything. I can ask nicely.
Yeah, well, soft power. Yeah.
It's not as good as desert power, but it'll have to do.
Or researcher power, which is just like fix it or this will go public. No, that's not really what you want to do, but that's kind of what you want to do sometimes because you just get so freaking annoyed by people. Madison knows what's up.
There's a difference between want and should.
No, yeah. Just freaking fix it. Yeah.
So any additional questions on this or any additional topics to discuss today?
Elbow, wrist.
All right. I will do my best to make your call tomorrow, Jeffrey. I've been invited to an
Don't worry about it.
roundtable.
At the Atlantic Council,
Yes.
I hear they serve refreshing adult beverages even virtually. So,
Well, but they came in first, and I will do my best to extricate myself at the bottom of the hour.
it's just suspect as to whether or not we'll even get a quorum, but.
And it's also my refresh day.
Inquiring minds want to know.
All right. We'll talk to everyone later. Thank you for your time. Talk soon. Bye.
Rob, you got a second for us to jump on another call real fast, for the end of the.
I do.
Okay,
Let's
all right.
do that.
I will Zoom you.
Thank you.
Bye.